What's up, everybody? It's Middle Age Gamer here, and I am here to show you Astroneer. What is Astroneer? It is a adorable little space adventure that I've played several years ago. I played it in 2019 all the way through most of it. I've pretty much did everything the game had to offer back then, but they've added a whole bunch of stuff since then. Now, the game has come to my attention again recently after my buddy bought a copy and we started playing together on Saturdays. And I haven't been recording that, but it gave me the idea that, maybe I should make a series on this, or maybe I should at least introduce the game to people, because you know what? Astroneer is not very well known for some reason among the gaming community at large, and I thought, well, maybe I can help do something about that by spreading awareness and showing how fun it is. It is a game full of cartoon physics and cartoon graphics, but somehow very endearing, very charming, and just a whole lot of fun. It's really, really good as a multiplayer game, but it also plays well single player, which I'll show you. And it's kind of like a little mystery. Like, you're dumped on this planet and you can build things, you can explore. Now, one of the things that's notable about this game is that there aren't any creatures that will chase and try to kill you. Now, there are plants that will, but that's pretty easy to avoid, right? But there's no like bugs or other critters that you have to fight. There's no guns like that. It's purely an exploration, base building, adventure, and manufacturing game, which is great. It's fine. And the limiting factor here in terms of what creates tension in the game is actually kind of interesting. It's your oxygen supply. So you start off, you have a backpack and you have only so much oxygen in it, and you have to stay tethered to your supply of oxygen or you suffocate. That by itself creates some pretty interesting situations. And the great game Deep Rock Galactic is also an underground adventure game. Like, you can dig here, but in Deep Rock Galactic, my friend and I played quite a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, and it is a great combat game. Bugs and other things trying to kill you is very dangerous underground and all that stuff. And the thing is, you can breathe, so you can go. You don't have to worry about going away from your oxygen supply while you're fighting. Except there's a certain mode that one of the modifiers in the missions is low oxygen, and I gotta tell you, it's hard. If your oxygen is limited and you're fighting bugs, oh man, that is super stressful. Very, very difficult, because, when you're fighting, you're all over the place. You just can't just hold your ground next to the oxygen supply. It's really, really hard. So here we are, and this is probably one of the main reasons they didn't include combat enemies in this game, is because the tension being an oxygen deprivation is enough. It makes the game really interesting. So with that said, let's get started and see what this game has to offer. Now, I will be doing very minimal editing, like if I have to let the dogs out or whatever, that happens. But overall, I'm just going to play it by ear and see what happens. This isn't... and one more note, in regards to my other series, No Man's Sky, this is something that I've been thinking, I really should have multiple games going at the same time. Most gaming channels on YouTube have multiple games. They're not single game series channels. So multiple games helps keep things fresh. It helps keep things interesting, and it reduces the possibility of getting burned out on any particular game. So I'm in favor of that. And so I'm thinking of starting this up. It's not a really long game. You can cruise through it in 50 to 100 hours or less pretty easily. So let's just play and see what happens. Start new adventure game. So it kicks you off in your little drop pod, landing on a tiny, tiny planet called Silva. The planet is so small that you can see the trees from orbit. You can walk around the entire thing in like 15 minutes. Alright, so here we are on the Silva. And what the game does that it didn't do when I played before is that there's a mission system implemented now. So the game gives you missions and you can play through them. You can start a game without the missions if you want. If you want to make it harder, that's fine. That's the way I used to do it. But the missions in this particular case will coincide nicely with the YouTube series because it kind of shows the walkthrough of the progression of the entire game. So let's go. If you exit the dropship then transforms magically into a shelter and a launch pad. And a whole bunch of hardened ground around it so you don't accidentally dig it up, because you can dig. Now, my launch pad is disturbingly close to a hill, so I think I'll be flattening that. There's a present off in the distance because we are in the Christmas season, and you can see there's a planet up here that's cruising along, and there's another planet. This is the moon of Silva called De Solo. It's cruising by. All right. You start off with a backpack. Backpack has 13 slots for small items only, and it has an oxygen supply, which is this blue bar up here. It has a power supply, which is the yellow bar here. It has a terrain tool right here that you can pull out, and you can use that terrain tool to dig or to put dirt down or to flatten. It's not all that different from No Man's Sky in that respect, except it's quite a lot more powerful. You collect your resources with it. So now we will check out our missions, and we have just arrived on Silva. So the reward for that is an oxygenator and a small printer. You can make both of these yourself, but the mission gives it to you for free. So what do we have here? This is a small printers. Printers in Astroneer are like 3D printers. They print stuff, in 3D. And in this case, it prints functional items, which is kind of neat. And you can put your printer down like in front of your shelter, and you can plug it in like so. Powers the printer, and you can build whatever the small printer is able to build. Now, you also have a small printer in your backpack, which is like, it extends, I think it's right about here, and that builds small things. The small printer builds medium things, the medium printer builds large things, and the large printer builds extra large things. So the oxygenator is a medium thing, and it goes right here in this medium slot. So you put it there, and you press F to unpack it, and just like a cartoon, it unpacks like magic. Do not expect accurate physics in this game. This is a cartoon. New mission, breathing space. Alright, so this is a nice mission manager. Mission log, it lets you collapse these things if you want, which is great because you don't always need to see your complete list. Active rewards is stuff you've finished. We finished the basics, which is to unpack the oxygenator, install it, and connect the printer. So now it's going to give me a pack of tethers and some bytes. What are bytes? So bytes are basically research currency. When you're researching, you unlock different things that you can build, but you have to research it first, and you have to spend bytes in order to do that. I'll show you that later. But we're going to pick up the tethers, and we're going to put them in the backpack, just like that. Press T to use, and it puts the tether down. You might notice that there's a little blue line that connects me to the shelter, but if I walk too far away from it, that line disappears because I'm too far. And now if you look really carefully on the backpack, you can see that I've got like a minute of oxygen, maybe less. And when my oxygen is gone, I start suffocating, and I have to get close again. It reconnects, fills my oxygen back up. So I can go over here and check out this thing just fine. Oh look, it's another drop pod capsule. And it's an abandoned backpack. There must have been another explorer here who bit the dust. What did he have? He had a work light. He had a small squeaker horn, and he had a curious item, as well as a pack of tethers, which I cannot grab because it's buried in the dirt. But I have a train tool, so now I can take that. So that's basically how that works. You can also hold F to scan on certain things in order to research them, and it gives you bytes. Just like that. That's how you get bytes the quick and easy way. Now you see my oxygen is just about gone. Listen to my breathing. Oh, thank goodness I got back in time. But believe me, there's times in this game when you are you're dying and you're like, oh shit, I'm out of oxygen. What am I going to do? Oh, is that a treat? Why do I have a piece of graphite? Am I... Alright, well, we have a very fortunate drop place indeed. There's some resources that you don't normally get until you've explored a bit. Alright. So what we'll do is we're just going to cruise through the missions and just see where they take us. Because the game lets you do all of this stuff for free. You know, you can free explore, you can choose your own path, but the mission log kind of guides you. You know, if you want to do it that way, you don't have to do it that way again. But it's not a bad progression. It kind of, if you kind of like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I've done everything. I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do next. Mission log. Always go back to the mission log and it will tell you what to do next. Okay. So, according to this, connect a tether to the oxygenator. Well, that's easy enough. So, the tether's range is just a little over your range. So, you can go until you're too far to reach, like right here. Put a tether down. Look at that. Now, it's a Christmas-themed tether, so the tops are going to have these different lights. It's just for Christmas. They don't mean anything. Last month, they had Halloween-themed tethers. So now, if we go back here, you can see that I can redeem my reward for breathing space, which is a small canister and another 500 bytes. There's my canister. Now, what is a canister? I'm going to put my canister on my backpack, and I'm going to put this over here because, honestly, I don't need these items right now. And I could take the work light. I probably should take the work light, but, you know, you don't really have to. I'll show you. I'll show it to you without. You can see the difference, right? You know, it just lights up your area around you. But your spotlight is pretty good at putting light on whatever you're working on, so that's nice. All right. Let's just see what's next. Gather compound, gather resin. Those are resources. And land filling. Fill a small canister with soil. Those are my new missions. Now, this is where we find out what the canister does. What the canister does is when you're digging, which is a normal activity in Astroneer, you just dig like this. But normally, without the canister, the soil you dig is lost. It just vanishes. But if you have a canister, it fills the canister up. And this particular canister is now partially filled with soil. It holds a lot. I filled it about 23% full just now with that little bit. And also you can see the little blue circle, or the partially blue circle. Watch what happens when I dig. See how it's halfway full? So the blue is halfway around the circle. That tells you that you're half full in your canister. It's very handy. The interface is really, really well done in Astroneer, I have to say. Very, very well done. Over here we have compound, which is one of your most common resources. Compound is used to make just about everything. Another ingredient that makes just about everything is resin. That's also common. So what we'll do is we'll dig up this compound and we'll keep digging to uncover further compound. It's buried under the ground. So you can see that I have gathered 2 compounds. So one of those things that you dig up isn't a whole compound. It's just a little part of one. And you notice on the back of my tool here, those little gray dots, those are partial resources. So whenever you start collecting, that will expand, see? So now it's got bigger, it's got more. So it's a really nice little visual indicator of how much until you get the next whole one. So let's just do that real quick. You can feather out the ground to make it easier to walk up and down. And then, because you don't want to fall into a pit. The last thing you want is to be cut off from your oxygen supply. That's bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tether here, and another tether here, and another tether here. And you'll notice that they daisy chain. It's a wonderful thing to be able to create a path of oxygen that guides you home. It's very nice. It's got to find my resin. Resin is, I saw a little bit on the other side. Let's go check that out. There it is. Resin is like macaroni and cheese for some reason. That's what it looks like. So you just collect that the same way you collect anything else. It's 1, 2, 3. All right, so now we have a little bit of a problem because I want one more, but I can't reach it, right? So what do? Show you what you do. Create a flat ground, but the flattener, hold down Control, it turns into a flattening tool, and you pick a polygon that's at the right angle, and then you just go for it. You flatten, and it flattens it in that direction, but it also will extend using the soil that you've already collected. If you're out, then it stops doing it, stops working. So you can only put down as much soil as you've dug up. I seem to be at the end of that deposit of resin, so I will go looking elsewhere. Oh, what do you know? There's a whole ton of resin that I didn't even notice right here. There we go. Get a little bit more, because, you know, you do need a lot of it. Really quick and easy to make bridges, as you just saw. Very, very nice. Alright, well, I think I'm about full. So it's time to go back. So we've completed landfilling and resourcing. Landfilling gives us 500 bytes as a reward. And resourcing gives us a medium storage, a medium platform A, 2 of them, and the schematic for oxygenator, so we can build more of those if we should choose to do so. All right, so these are all important things. We'll put them down here somewhere. Storage. Now you'll end up building a lot of these medium storages. You build a lot of these things. Oh my gosh! And the reason is because they only hold 8. And the way that you empty onto it is you just pull up your backpack and you just do this basically one at a time, at least in the beginning of the game, until later on when more convenient methods show up. I am going to print another one with my resin. You'll notice that it costs 2 resin to print a medium storage, and the printer works just like our 3D printer. Well, a cartoon version anyways. There we are. So we open this up, and I'm going to stick my resin on that. It's pretty good idea to stay organized in this game. You don't have to, but it's a pretty good idea. Just a word of warning. Because, you know, I mean, the game literally lets you put stuff on the ground. I mean, you could just make a pile of resources and they just sit there forever. They never despawn, so you never have to worry about that. A lot of games, things that are left on the ground will despawn eventually. Not this game. But it does produce some lag in multiplayer if you have a lot of things loose on the ground. It's just a word of warning. All right. Let's see the next mission. Printing up. Print a medium printer and slot the medium printer into a platform. Well, that's easy enough. So the medium printer costs 2 compounds, so that means I need to grab a couple of these and then print. We're going to unpack that so that we have a place to put it. Plug it in. And then unpack it. Completed. Printing up. So, new mission, powerful problems. So what's powering this thing? You notice that over here on the shelter, we have an RTG. RTG is short for radioisotope thermal electric generator, if I'm not mistaken. And these are real-life devices that are put on space probes like Voyager and other space probes where you want to be able to power your spacecraft far beyond the extents of solar energy. And they produce just a little bit of energy for absolute free. It's just using radioisotope decay as your source of energy. So this one produces 1 unit of energy per second, and that's what you get, just one. It's not much. Printing up reward is a large platform B and the schematic for the large platform B. This is a large platform B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my printer, and I'm going to put it kind of like that. Open it up. And then we will take printer and rotate it this way. And we'll take the medium one, put it here. There we are. So now both the printers are here on the same table. Now, another thing that I said I was going to do, I haven't done yet, is I'm going to level this ground out. So the way you level is you want to hold down Control, and then you hold down the mouse button, and then you slide it ever so gently out. This will create ground level with the polygon that you first clicked on. Now, the light gray soil here is soil that came from my canister. Everything else is original soil. So anything you dig up, anything that you haven't dug up yet that was already there will be colored. Everything else that you put down is gray. You also notice that the 5 little white dots in the center of my reticle here are indicating how hard the ground is. These little dots say it's soft ground. I put the mouse over here, it changes to hard ground. This, I can't dig it. I can't affect it at all. I just get sparks. Now, there's varying hardnesses of ground in this game, but in the beginning, this is the way they did it to make sure that you don't dig up your starting location. At least not right away. Make this nice and flat because we're going to need a flat area in order to work. That should be enough in that direction. Now you notice the grass that's coming at me when I go over it with the terrain tool? This is going into a resource called organic, and that's the green leafy thing right there. Organic is mostly for burning in generators as fuel. Oh. Let's flatten a little bit more. Most of this is pretty flat already, but it's a good idea to just make it perfectly flat. You can see the edge here. You can see where it's not flat. Like, there we go. Great. All right, so with that gotten out of the way, we got some room. Let's check out our active missions. Now, there's a whole bunch of missions that were just granted. Smelteringly hot. That's where you make a smelter, because you do refine things in this game. Retooling, which allows your terrain tool to have some mods attached to it to make it go faster or to dig through harder material. Powerful problems. Print and connect a small generator to power network. That's pretty easy to do. We can do that right now. So what you do to make a small to make a small generator, grab a piece of compound, and then we click through until we get to small generator. We print it on the backpack. Turn it off. It's weird. Change to C. Okay, so this is a small generator. Small generator looks like this. Anything small like this, if you put it down on the ground, it spawns itself some legs and some bugs, which is pretty standard for the small things. Or you can just stick it on your backpack like this. It's very versatile. So we'll put it here, and now the mission is complete. It's not running, by the way. Once it's running, you'll see it spinning like this. But we're only going to run it if we need the power. So Powerful Problems gives us a small battery as a reward and the schematic for more small batteries. So there we have it. This is a small battery. And you can plug this into your backpack, or you can put it into, plug it into anything that has a spot for one. And you can see from the animation that it is filling up from the energy that the RTG is creating. So it's not a lot of power. It stores 32 units total, which isn't much. And produces 1 per second output, just like the generator. No, unlike the generator. The generator produces 2. Completed battery backup. So this is a good idea. The reason that you need batteries is because they act like a buffer, because you're not always able to produce power. Sometimes the wind is blowing, like right now you can actually see the wind, and you might have a wind generator. It's producing energy. Then the wind stops, and it's nighttime, all your solars shut down, your wind generators stop, and you're only relying on whatever energy you stored in your batteries. So that is that. Battery backup gives us a medium storage, which again, you're going to need a lot of. Oh, it doesn't. Smelteringly hot gives a medium storage. I had the wrong thing selected. Battery backup gives a splitter and the schematic for power extenders. Splitter splits cables into 2. I don't really use them, but my power extenders, cables only reach a little ways, and you can put something down and it lets them reach that far again. And so if you need to power something further away, you can use power extenders. And it doesn't give you anything for free. It's just the schematics it gives you. Great. So now we have a mission called For Science, where we have to print and use a research chamber. Research chambers deconstruct objects to generate a steady stream of bytes. That's very important. So now that we've now that we've done that, we have to. Can we print it right now, or do we have to research it? Oh, look, here it is. Research chamber. So the research chamber is a large item. It's print from the medium printer. It costs 2 compound and 1 resin. So let's grab that. And you'll notice I'm already out of compound. Here we are. So now I'm gonna do it. 2 compound and 1 resin. Careless. Did it not take it from my backpack? I do not know. Oh! Of course! Silly me. Let me take these back real quick. I'll show you exactly where I messed up. So, printers need to be powered, and I didn't power the table. Now the table's plugged in. So go back here. Research chamber. Bam. There it goes. It will pull the resources from your backpack automatically or a nearby table, or you can put the resources in yourself, and that's all it takes. Now, let me see here. Are we doing good for power? It says the printer uses 2 per second. That means it's taking from my battery backup, and now that the battery is drained, the printer is slowing down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on my generator, and it speeds it up again. And you can tell how good your power flow is by the yellow line on your cables. So if I turn this off, as soon as this battery's dead, that line will be a bit thinner. I'll show you that any second now. Oh, never mind. It's finished. So here's a research chamber. We'll put it here. Completed for science. New mission. Take a bite. So this will give us new mission. Here we go, sampling. So this will give us 2 beacons and some bites. What are beacons? A beacon is a wonderful little device that you can place on the ground anywhere in the world, and you can tell where it is. So we have a compass. Compass shows us where things are in the world relative to our position. It's very handy. This little home symbol is the home base. This symbol is apparently this thing. But let me put down a beacon. I'll show you what that does. There, look at that. So you can change the beacon's color if you want, like so. You can see it from a long way away, even over the curvature of the planet. But if you're super far away or you just can't see it for whatever reason, you can pull up your compass with R, and there it is. Very nice, very nice. Even if it's below ground, you'll be able to tell. So it's a great way to be able to mark something that you find if you want to come back to it later. I'm going to print another medium storage because we're going to need him. And I'm going to show you what the research chamber does. So if you remember when I scanned this with F, it didn't give very many bytes. Let's just do that again. I got 30, right? But if I had put it in the research chamber, I would have probably got like 60 or 80 or something like that. It's a lot more, but it takes more time to research in the chamber, and it draws power, which is worth something. You don't want to draw power unless you have to, but if you really need the bytes and you have the time and the energy, you might as well use the research chamber. Although, it's worth noting that there are much better things to put in the research chamber than those little things that I just showed you. Much better. Alright, let us go looking around for things to research. A bit of a difficult terrain. Oh, here's a great example of what I mean by a worthy beacon. I'm going to put the green beacon here because I want to come back to that resource later. I'm going to research these guys because I want to get my mission done. I'm not seeing any larger ones. For some reason. Not quite there. Some air. Yeah, we're definitely put into an interesting location on the world this time, because usually we're a fair bit of a hike from mountains and the crevasses, which is what's over this way, I believe. Which gives you some resources that are just a touch harder to get. Oh, happy days. I got a smaller solar. Grab that. Just grab all of these things. Rest of this is junk. Later we'll be able to recycle that, but not yet. Ooh, what's that? I think I'm going to check that out. Great. All right, let's quick check to see what the next thing on the list to do is. Make a smelter, take a bite. I need to research. Oh, it wants me to research 2,000 bytes on my own, and I've got 351 done. That won't take much time. It wants me to do 6 more research samples, and it wants me to check out the gateway chamber in the distance, as well as special event Project Cheer Delivery. This is a Christmas thing. Because it's the Christmas season. So the next obvious thing to do would be to make a smelter and refine aluminum from laterite. I actually had to Google that. Laterite, weirdly enough, does contain aluminum in real life. I always thought it was bauxite. I mean, bauxite is a source for aluminum, but I never knew about laterite. I always thought it was something that this game made up. But we'll do that. We will unlock... It wants us to unlock the smelting furnace. Now, this is the first time the game wants us to unlock something without being given it. So it's like, oh, now you can do it your own. You can just take some initiative and do this thing. So hold on R and you go to the research catalog. And what this does is, it's research catalog. I'll just show you this real quick. This is divided into 4 main sections based on how big the thing is. So this far left symbol here is your backpack. this is the small printer, the medium printer, and the large printer. So again, small items from here, medium items from here, large items from here, extra large items from here. The smelting furnace is a large item, so it requires the medium printer. If you look, there it is. So smelting furnace is pretty cheap. 250 bytes. We have almost 2,000. So we click the green button. Just like that. We have researched the smelting furnace. It's also pretty cheap to build. 1 compound and 2 resin. So we have 2 resin here. And we have no compound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a compound real quick out of the ground, and then we'll make that smelting furnace. There it is. Medium printer. Smelting furnace. Here it is. Get that printed. Set that aside for the moment. Small squeaker horn. Like for real. It even moves when you activate it. Just like a cartoon. Oh, no, not that one. There it is. You see how this line got thinner for a minute there? That was because it was out of power. Smelting furnace, there it is. Great. Well, what's amazing and somewhat ironic about this is that I work at a company that builds custom-made smelting furnaces in real life. And they're like $80,000 and they take like months to build. And, you know, it's a lot of effort. And I just the fact that I just made one just like that is humorous to me because we build them at work. And they're pretty amazing. They're very, very cool. But that is Astroneer. That is the introduction to Astroneer. And I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the game. If you've played it or not, let me know. And also tell me if you were interested in a series on this, because I wouldn't mind playing one, because I want to play through the whole game. And it would take, even though it's not a really long game, it would still take some time. And it would be something to spice things up and put some variety in the channel, other than just playing No Man's Sky and fumbling around a game that I'm not very familiar with. So with that, I think that's everything. And I thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.